Hello there. Today I'm at Chateau Laffitte Carcasset at Saint-Estephe in the north of Bordeaux's Medoc wine region. And here I've been given the opportunity to taste through a set of the wines of Laffitte Carcasset from 2016 through to 2023. So the wine I have here is the 2017. The wine is a blend of 59% of Cabernet Sauvignon with 40% Merlot and 1% of Cabernet Franc. So let's have a look at the wine and see what we make of it, shall we? There's a deep, relatively dark ruby colour, but you can see that the colour is softening a little at the rim. There's a slight brick reddish hue to it. The wine is labelled as having 13% alcohol. It doesn't seem particularly keen on forming tears on the side of the glass there. So let's see what we make of the aromas anyway. The aromas have a developed aspect. There's a sort of a slightly meaty, savoury note. There's a spiciness. There's a sort of an earthiness to the really ripe red fruit here that is sometimes seen as a bit of a pointer towards the wines of Saint-Estephe from within the Medoc, where actually Saint-Estephe at the north, with its greatest influence from the sea, tends to be the warmest, and the fruit tends to get a slightly higher ripeness, a slightly more roasted sort of character. Those aromas are supported by ripe fruit and some really delicate notes of vanilla and sweet spice. There's certainly plenty going on. So that's for taste. The wine is quite full and rounded. It has a bit more volume to it than the previous vintage, the 2016, where the tannins had really become much lighter and more silky. And here there is a silkiness, there's a slight graphite note. There's a powdery, fine nature to the tannins. The silkiness leads on to a mid-palate where those very fine tannins leave a mouth-watering sensation. And with that mouth-watering sensation comes some really delicate floral perfumes. Again, as with the 2016, you've got those ethereal rose petal notes just starting to show over really ripe red plum, almost a red prune sort of fruit character. There are some slightly bitter hints. There's almost an aftertaste of coffee alongside chocolatey smoothness coming from the texture. The wine's alcohol appears to give a little bit of warmth to the finish. Certainly there's a roundness and a suppleness to the tannins. By now, they've softened. Some of them will have dropped out of the wine as sediment, and there really is a lovely, fine smoothness to them. There's still good density. This is a medium to full-bodied wine. The acidity is sufficient to give enough freshness that there's a fairly long finish that carries on showing off those slightly dusty, powdery tannins alongside those delicate floral rose petal perfumes. And then there's a slight mouth-watering bite, just with a little bit of sweet baking spice thrown in at the very end there. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, it would be great if you'd press the like button for me. That would be much appreciated. If you have friends you think might like to watch it, do please feel free to pass it on to them. If you're watching these videos and enjoying them, it would be great if you could consider signing up and subscribing to my YouTube channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and that way you can set yourself an alert and you can be notified every time I publish a new tasting. I will, of course, leave a link in the notes below to the winesearcher website so you can see if and where the wine is available and at what price. And don't forget that if you have any questions or comments, do please pop those in the comments box below. I would love to know what you think about the wines I'm looking at, the tastings I'm doing, or anything else that relates to that. So thank you once again for taking the time to join me, and I do hope that maybe you'll be able to find some time in the near future. Come and join me for some more tastings. Certainly, there are 7 more red wines from Laffitte Carcasset, whose tastings I'll be publishing in the near future. So hopefully we'll see you there. Till then, bye for now.